white girls bleach the fuck out of their hair.
First of all, you know it's not the same. White women bleaching their hair or straightening their hair is not the same as what we do. Most black women do not have long hair. They do not have long natural hair. Black hair does not grow. It does not grow at the same speed as other races.
So I really don't have an intro for this video, so we might as well just get into the business, okay? So welcome to my channel. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Exis and this is my channel, Exis Does. Howdy, how you doing, how it be? And if you were to ask me what I do, it is somewhere in between what it do, commentary, and my best. Today I have no honorary stuffed animal, mostly because I thought I would do this particular video while I do my hair care routine for keeping up with my mini twists. As you can see, I actually washed them this past weekend. Kind of accepted the fact that I am most definitely a lazy, natural girly. Like, I am not out here doing a lot of stuff to my hair. I just don't have time. I even got into doing mini twists for the sole purpose of me not having to do too much with my hair anymore, because doing my hair is very stressful for me, okay? If you don't believe me, one of my most viral videos on this channel was me talking about the natural hair community and how difficult it was in keeping up with trends. The natural hair movement really had a chokehold on all of us, honestly. This isn't like a how to keep your hair long and healthy tutorial, by the way. This is a real talk. I'm not really out here trying to teach y'all how to like care for your hair and crap. Like, everyone and their mama on the internet was like convinced, like, oh yeah, Jamaican black castor oil is gonna do, you gotta get that Jamaican black castor oil, Jamaican. Who really wants to put eggs in their hair? Like, looking back on that video and looking at where I am now and figuring out like the pain points with my diet and what was working and what wasn't working, and kind of figuring out like a hair care routine that works for me, I can safely go back to that video and say that I still stand 10 toes down on everything I've said. I'm not gonna omit anything or take anything out or re-explain what I had mentioned in that video. I said what I said, but I'm now looking back and reflecting fondly on what I've said, especially now that I'm taking my hair care a little bit more seriously. I feel like I made some pretty valid points, but I've also realized that a lot of people hold the same sentiments that I do about the natural hair community and just growing your natural hair and trying to figure out what works with your natural hair and whatnot. And I feel like this video that this woman had made about black hair not growing like that, I feel like I am not the only one who's had a lot of transgressions with dealing with my hair. The best way to grow your hair comes from within, and I still believe that 100%. Before you even decide what products you're gonna put in your hair, how you're gonna wash it, how you're gonna pre-poo it, condition it, or anything, you really have to figure out your diet first. Whether it means going to a medical professional and getting some blood work done to see what you're deficient in, whether it means just eating more fruits and veggies or taking a supplement. One of those things, you most definitely have to figure out what's going on the inside first for anything on the outside to work. Very important if you want anything to work properly in your body, whether it be having enough energy for the day or growing your hair like past your butt crack. Diet that's the most important thing ever. And so here we are this year, 2024, and we're back again around the same time, unironically, where I'm sitting here talking about natural hair. And I really want to unpack what this woman had mentioned about natural hair not growing like that, because she really could have just ended it at like, I feel like black hair doesn't grow like that. I feel like black hair doesn't grow fast enough. And then just like point blank period, and the TikTok, we're done. But then she began to explain herself, the reason as to why, and the reason as to why she doesn't feel beautiful, or even how she feels like other black women don't feel beautiful or feminine with their natural hair. It's interesting to see how people are going about this video. It's very, very interesting because I don't think people really understand the empathy that might have to be done in order to understand where she's coming from. I feel like what this woman is talking about comes from a place of not just like texturism, but I also feel like she feels as if she is the prettiest with her wigs on to hide from the fact that maybe she might not be as well received because of, you know, how she looks as a woman. I hope that makes sense. And I'm not saying that she's ugly. That's not what I'm saying, okay? What I am saying is that what I do tend to notice, and what I've noticed as well as a darker skinned woman, is that sometimes you do feel like you have to play into the Eurocentric beauty standards in order to be seen as desirable or pretty. For the longest time, for example, when I was in the Northeast, when I was in high school, I always wore my hair straight. From like, I wanna say 5 to like 12 or 13, I was wearing it in braids. And then when I got into high school, I was just wearing it straight, and I had no idea how to care for my hair. It even got as bad as, not the other white kids saying that like, oh, your hair is weird when it's curly or in an afro, but like my own mother saying like, I don't want you wearing an afro. I remember I took my hair out from cornrows. I put it in a braid out, and I got a lot of compliments on it. And my mom was like, I don't want you wearing your hair like that. Wear your hair straight. This is how you're gonna wear your hair. So already in my mind, it was implanted that if you wear your hair straight, you will be received better. You will be able to assimilate better. As a, you know, deeper skinned woman, at some point you do feel like you have to assimilate in these ways in order to be seen as valid and desirable in these spaces. The way she feels like she needs to be seen as desirable or feminine or accepted is by her wearing straighter wigs. Running out of oil. This is one of my favorite oils. It's like super light. We're also gonna get to the growth oil segment. I want y'all to know that like I took notes on every single thing she said, and so we're gonna just unpack it. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's heavy. And if it doesn't sit well in your system, you don't have to watch this video. I completely understand, because it's very, very triggering. It's brutally honest. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like, you know, what she said was invalid, because there is some truth in what she's saying, but I also think there are some misconceptions that really need to be unpacked. I should probably redo these. Yeah, I gotta redo some of this stuff. I myself was taught that if I assimilate to the standard of beauty, of Eurocentric beauty, then I would be well received. I would be received much better than if I didn't. And so that's why I wore the straight hair a lot, the heat trained, and it got so bad to the point where I was very nervous about moving outside of the Northeast. My hair is very like fine and fragile, and I didn't want to perm it at all. I didn't want to put it in a perm. I didn't want to damage my hair any more than I was damaging it with the heat training, right? I basically was like, okay, let me not move anywhere outside of the Northeast, because if I move anywhere outside of the Northeast, I won't be able to take care of my hair the way I should. You know what I mean? And then it took me like years to actually take care of my hair. So unfortunately, I do see where she is coming from. And I say unfortunately because it should not have to be that way, that we as women, especially women with kinkier hair textures, especially Black women, have to deal with this type of hassle with our hair, or have to deal with this discretion with our hair. So TLDR, if you don't feel like watching the rest of this video, I'ma just tell it, okay? You can grow your hair. It doesn't matter what race you are, what genes you have. If you want to take care of your hair and you want it to grow, you will be able to grow it. There are reasons as to why we as Black people, especially we as Black people in Western culture, feel like our hair can't grow. And I can almost guarantee you it has nothing, almost nothing to do with the fact that our hair just doesn't grow as fast. It has everything to do with how we were conditioned to believe in the first place that our hair is not desirable. I'm really trying to keep these bad boys in for another month. I know I should probably take them out and redo them. I do not care. I'm gonna try and keep these bad boys in as long as I can, okay? Lazy Natural Squad, what it do? So she mentions that white women straightening their hair isn't the same as a Black woman straightening or bleaching their hair, referring to the stitch of a Black TikTok creator. I forgot her name. I'll put it here somewhere, mentioning that like, I guess Black people's hair, like the way Black folks like stress out over their hair is like uncanny. Like it's very, very unhinged, and we should like probably like cool it. Ooh, it down. He did. And I guess she's alluding to the fact that white women can chop all of their hair off, and in 3 months or so, their hair can grow back just as long, just as vivaciously, okay? She also says that most Black women do not have long hair. And this is where we get into the why, okay? Why do we think Black women don't have long hair? Do we think it's genetics? Do we think it's a cultural, like, what is the why behind? Like, you can't, this is, I know I do this too, but you can't make these like strong statements and not explain the why behind them, okay? You have to explain the why you feel like Black hair just doesn't grow as long. You can't just sit up here and say it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Why do you think they sell us growth oils, okay? I'm gonna take a shot at the dark and explain on behalf of her why she might feel that Black hair does not grow as fast as white hair. Okay, so one of the first theories I got, okay, we were not taught to care for our hair. Okay, I'm going to assume that she grew up in an era where Black folks had to kind of assimilate to the beauty standards of white people in America, which is straighter hair, okay? And so the reason why Black hair might not grow as fast as white hair, or why she feels like it doesn't grow as fast, is because for the longest time, we did not know how to care for our hair. We just did not know. Look how long my hair is. Yeah, these mini twists have been helping. Little knot boy. Going back to the topic of discussion, we weren't taught to care for our hair, ever. To put things into perspective, the natural hair movement really did not take off until 2012, I believe, early 2010. That's when it really took off. I was 17, 18 years old when we were even having talks about natural hair like that, okay? For 17 years of my life, I did not know how to care for my natural hair. Sure, my hairdresser did. Lordy only knows like what type of hair product my hairdresser was using at the time. I did not know how to just care for my hair in its natural state. Like, that really wasn't a thing. Moisturizers, leave-in conditioners, curling custards, like what on earth? All I knew was Eco Styling Gel and Lustrous Pink moisturizer. Do y'all know about Lustrous Pink moisturizer? If you know, you know. But that was the only thing I knew about moisturizing. And then maybe Nairobi, and that's it. Shea Moisture, Camille Rose, Mael, Tajin, what are you coming at me with? We did not have that back then. That did not exist. If it took 17 years for a natural hair movement to kick off, for all of us to like discover how to actually care for our hair, and even back then, there were a lot of gimmicks and trends. We really didn't even know like how to actually care for our hair like that. It was just a bunch of people on the internet experimenting. Lord only knows how long she had to live in this era of where you just didn't know how to care for your natural hair. Like 17 years of my life, the only natural hair care that was in my vocabulary was Lustrous Pink moisturizer and some sort of Nairobi product. Nothing else. We weren't talking about anything else. Seeing Shea Moisture in Target for the first time, I was like, well, what the heck is this? Especially if you're like growing up in an area where there aren't a lot of us, we weren't taught how to care for our natural hair. So again, no, it's not a matter of Black hair just doesn't grow as long. Black hair is not as long as white hair. It's a matter of we just didn't know how to care for our hair. And so if you don't know how to care for something, you're not going to know how to make it grow. You're not going to know how to feed it nutrients, nourish it. Like if you buy an expensive plant and you don't have the products to take care for the plant, your expensive plant is going to die, right? Right? It's the same with Black hair. Again, we were given things and sold products that probably weren't good for our hair to begin with. And we didn't actually start realizing that there were products out there that were a lot better for our hair until we were like, you know, in the 2010s, which was way too long for a lot of us who are millennials and like, you know, Gen Z. Like that shouldn't have taken that long for us to figure out what products are good for our hair and how to care for it. And that was all due to the internet. Before that, a lot of us weren't even having conversations about that. I think that's a part of the issue. You're naturally going to think that your hair isn't going to grow as long if you don't know how to care for it. If you are growing up and around a society that tells you that your hair isn't enough and your hair isn't worthy, put on this wig to assimilate with the hair that is worthy and that is enough. In no way, shape, or form am I trying to like come at this creator with hate. That's not my intention. I see her and I see where she's coming from. I don't want to overstep my boundaries, but I think her mindset very much so comes from the fact that already she feels as if she is at a disadvantage by the way she looks. More things to unpack here. And she mentioned something along the lines of selling growth oils. And she says, why do you think so many people are selling growth oils to us? It's because our natural hair does not grow. And this was a very interesting takeaway. I think we really need to unpack how marketable the black hair industry is, how it's almost like, I believe, $1 million, if not $1 billion industry just to sell black hair products to women of color, whether that be custards, conditioners, protectants, pre-poos, actual hair from other humans. You know, it is a very expensive industry that, you know, unfortunately, I don't think we still have full ownership on. I think there is a criticism to be said about why these products are constantly sold to us, because something I've also learned in going on this little hair journey that I'm in right now is that no product you use is going to grow your hair automatically. No magical growth oil you use is going to grow your hair rapidly. No method, inversion, rice water, onion water, whatever, it's not gonna grow your hair rapidly. It doesn't matter what products you use. You can use any product. You just gotta figure out a routine that works with you and stick with it. For her to say that, you know, why do you think they're selling growth oil to care for our hair, and why are they doing that? You know, I see where she's coming from when she says that, because why are they selling us growth oil? Keep selling us the same stuff to put in our hair, selling us this dream that our hair is gonna grow long and beautiful, and then when it doesn't, we're over here giving them the side eye, like, well, I thought this rice, milk, almond, shea, honey, moisture, chamomile, aloe vera gel concoction with avocado and eggs in it was gonna help grow our hair. What happened? And it doesn't. Anything in the beauty industry in general, it's meant to sell you off of your insecurities, okay? And so what does the beauty industry look like, or the natural hair care, black hair care movement, or basically telling their audience more or less that it doesn't matter what product you use, all these products work, you just need a routine. It doesn't look good. They have to stand out. They have to be the one with the most natural products in their conditioners and their curling custards and creams, or they have to have all of these herbs in it in order to show that your hair will grow nice and long. They're not gonna sit up here and say, listen fam, no matter what product you use, your hair will grow long regardless, as long as you're taking care of yourself on the inside and the outside. They're just not gonna do that. And like, why would they? You would stop buying their products, or maybe you would buy something cheaper and not pour into their business. You know what I mean? This idea of like selling growth oil and selling products that care for our own hair, picking off of our insecurities that we don't have long enough hair. So they're gonna sell us the As I Ams and the hair growth oils and curl sealers and all of that. You know, they're going to sell us these products and be like, pick this product, it'll grow your hair nice and long. No, pick this product, it has all organic ingredients in it. Pick this oil because it has Ayurvedic herbs in it, all right? They're not gonna tell you that it doesn't matter what product you pick, as long as you're consistent with your routine, it's going to grow. So I get where she's coming from in that regard. Okay, so this is where we get juicy, guys. This is where I get a little bit unhinged. She says that she doesn't look feminine with natural hair. It would have been one thing if she just like said, to me, I don't look feminine with natural hair. To me, right? But then she goes on to say that other black women or don't feel feminine in their natural hair. And this is where we start having some problems. This is where we start having some issues and concerns. This is where people are like, well, wait, hold on. Hold on. Because there is a lot of internalized self-hatred there. And she even admits and says that she knows that there's a lot of internalized self-hatred there. But I think what especially needs to be taken note is the idea that natural hair isn't seen as feminine, and this whole deeper construct of the idea that black women for the longest time have been fighting and scratching to be seen as more feminine, and how we are constantly defeminized, whether it be through media, music, entertainment, television shows. We are constantly seen as defeminized, right? And so now we get into even more layer. Like I said, you know how I feel about the divine, the femininity course girlies and the self-help girlies and the elegant luxury. Not really a big fan. I feel like it's a big grip, but I feel like it's also a nefarious grip to black women because it's selling us on the idea of, hey, how you look, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself isn't necessarily feminine enough. You wearing your hair this way, not feminine enough. Why not slap a wig on it? Why not wear some micro links? Like when you peel back the layers, it's like, it's a lot. And I get it. I get why somebody like her does not feel feminine with her natural hair. We were taught to align with Eurocentric beauty standards from a very young age, especially if you live in Western culture. Your hair isn't straight enough, you're not valid enough. Naturally, we are birthed into this planet taught to hate our hair texture, taught to hate our existence if it doesn't align with this model race. There is a lot to unpack with not feeling feminine in your natural hair, but I really do think it stems from us not really knowing how to care for our natural hair for so long, especially the older generations just not really taking the time to care for it because they were constantly taught that if you straighten your hair, if you put wigs on it, if you put sew-ins on it, manipulate your hair in the worst way possible just so that you can fit a beauty standard, you will be seen as valid. A better example, my mother, beautiful woman, takes care of herself. Her hair is down to the middle of her back, okay? Like she got long hair, all right? I will look great when I'm in my 60s. I know it for a fact, okay? Since I was birthed into this world, my mother has slapped weave after weave after weave on her head. I think there has been all but 1 or 2 times where my mom decided to wear her natural hair out, but for the most part, it's always been a weave, always been a weave. And it is shocking to me because the times when she wore her natural hair, she looked stunning. Like, I don't know why she just doesn't wear her hair natural. There are literally women out here who don't know how to care for their hair because the longest time there weren't any tools out there to teach them how to care for their hair. And then on top of that, which is something she also mentions, you're taught to feel prettier with your straight hair. You're not taught to feel pretty with the afro, with the kinky curly coils, with the mini twists. Like, you're not taught to feel beauty in this type of hair texture. You're taught to feel beautiful with straight hair. Again, going to this idea of femininity and Black women feeling defeminized and trying to cling and fight and scratch for their femininity to be valid as a woman. I feel as if we also instill and perpetuate the same idea that certain hair textures aren't desirable, certain hair textures aren't feminine enough. No, I gotta do this. I gotta do the back of my head. Maybe I'm fine. Maybe I can get away with it. There was a sugar baby on here. She was teaching her audience how to bag wealthy men. Not hood rich wealthy, but like, you know, upper echelon wealthy, selling a course and whatever. And I remember she said something along the lines of, to me, dreadlocks do not look feminine. Child, when I tell you that lady, she was Black, sitting up here talking about some, oh, and Chloe Bailey and Chloe and Halle with the dreads in their hair, they look hard. I don't like the dreads. And I'm like, girl, like, we instill this self-hatred on our own selves, bro. This is something that we perpetuate within our own race, and it is so toxic. This idea that femininity isn't seen within our natural hair is not only harmful to your audience, but it's also just harmful in general to how you see yourself as a person. Why do we have to constantly, as women, as Black women, as women of color, fight and scratch to not be seen as hard? Why do we perpetuate these things? Why can't we be seen as soft? When you look at like activism, right? And even like movements that have happened, there was this whole conversation during the George Floyd BLM movement about like how Black women are used as the face of these movements, right? We're always fighting. We're always, you know, the ones who have to be at the front lines fighting for the men, for the family, for our communities. And we're always seen in like dreads and afros and kinkier natural hair texture. But then when we want to be seen or portrayed as soft or more elegant, we're not in kinkier natural hair textures. Our hair is manipulated, our hair is straightened, our hair is, you know, in extensions or is under a wig. There's something to be said about that, and that needs to be dismantled. I'm sorry. I feel like as women of color, we should be seen as valid and as feminine no matter what we look like. It should not be a, oh, well, if I wear a wig on, now I feel more like a woman. It should really just be, I woke up this morning and I feel like a woman. Hello, hi, how are you? All right. However that might feel like to you. It should also be an idea of like, you know what? I'm going to wear this afro out. I'm going to wear my twists out. I'm going to wear my dreads out. I'm not going to put my hair in a wig in order for me to feel more feminine. I'm just not going to do that. She also mentions how she feels as if kinkier wig textures don't look nice. Natural hair wig texture, she says that, you know, she's not trying to go to work looking like Mufasa, which is kind of funny out of context, but in context, it's like not a case. And this is how I know that she grew up in an environment where she didn't know how to care for her natural hair, because that should not, like, what? That's something my parents I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's just like, it's like hilarious, but also like sad, because like, bro, like, what are we like, that's like some old head shit. Like, I'm so sorry. But again, I can kind of tell that she hasn't really been in a space or been around a space where she can care for her natural hair or feel comfortable enough where she can have the freedom to care for her natural hair. Because if you've been on the internet and you've been on social media, Her Given Hair, Nahara's Curls, there are a lot of hair care wig extension companies that cater to natural hair specifically, that won't have you out here looking like Mufasa from The Lion King. But even if you did look like Mufasa from The Lion King, what's wrong with that? Because Mufasa's pretty dope. But regardless, what I'm trying to say here is that there are wigs out there that look like your hair texture, that look like they grew out of your head. Her Given Hair, the amount of endorsements I see from content creators supporting Her Given Hair and Nahara's Curls, they do a very good job of doing that. And I think we really should unpack and discuss like the policing on how Black women decide to take care of their hair, because I do think that is a thing that we inflict upon ourselves. For example, as of recently, I have been seeing a lot of content creators on my YouTube page talk about how we should be wearing our hair natural, how wigs are out, hair weaves with leave out are in, the baby hairs are out, and leaving your hair out is in. We should just embrace our natural hair. I've even seen creators who are very in tune with the spiritual aspect of their hair, and they're talking about how they don't feel comfortable literally putting on another person's dead hair on their own. You know, I've seen those conversations. This is where I agree with the original creator whom this creator stitched this video with, where I say, like, why do we constantly have to police women on how they wear their hair, more particularly Black women on how they wear their hair? There is nothing wrong with wearing wigs. There's nothing wrong with choosing to go natural. One isn't inherently better for the other. If it's your preference to wear more wigs, sure, whatever. But in the same breath, which is what I have a problem with this creator, please do not sit up here on the Clock app or on anybody's platform and try and convince a bunch of women that their hair isn't feminine because you feel like your hair isn't feminine. That's not what you should do. And it really shouldn't matter whether or not your hair is long or short for it to be received as feminine, because you're just a beautiful person regardless, right? But the fact that you are feeding into this idea that natural hair isn't nice looking on Black women, it's not read as beautiful on Black women, it's not read as soft on Black women, elegant on Black women. She even goes to mention that she respects the confidence and beauty to pull off short natural hair. Every time I hear the word confident, and I gotta be careful of this too, because sometimes I'll say, oh, she's so confident. But I actually say she's so confident because, like, I actually think she's confident, right? But every time I hear confident, okay, it's always in proximity to someone who shouldn't be confident. So, oh, you're so confident for a fat person. Oh, you're so confident for a Black person. Oh, you're so confident for a dark skinned girl. You're so confident for a brown skinned girl. You're so confident for, you're so brave. That's what it gives me, okay? There's nothing brave about wearing your hair. There's nothing brave about existing in the skin that you're in. There's nothing brave about existing in the body you're in. You're just a person existing. What are we doing? What are we doing? If you feel feminine in your short TWA, feel feminine in your short TWA. Like, what is this idea of confidence to pull off short natural hair, to pull it off? What is there to pull off? It's hair. It's really just hair. Again, this whole idea that like short hair is bad, short hair is masculine. I know people who can rock a short hairstyle and it is the most elegant, serving shit I've seen in my life. It looks amazing. It looks stunning. When you are fighting and scratching to adhere to a specific beauty standard that was never catered to you in the first place, you do start to convince yourself like, no, I can't wear my hair short. If I wear it short, I'll be seen this way, and I want to be portrayed that way. I get it, but also I think it's time that we stop using that type of language to express the way we handle our hair. Apparently, there is a group of women who think that if you wear your hair natural, you look like a little kid or you look immature with your natural hair. But if you wear your hair in a wig, you're not taking care of your hair and you're not embracing your natural, and there's a problem with you putting on wigs, knowledge, all this. So here's the thing. My personal opinion, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, do what you want. Do what you want as long as you're secure in yourself. Going further, she mentions that we should like our hair in theory, but we do not because we don't look feminine. In theory means a lot, and this is where we unpack texturism, okay? In theory means a particular hair texture. In theory actually means 3A through C brigade. Maybe 4A and 4B can be finessed in there, but 4C isn't in theory, and I think that's what she means. In theory, collectively, Black folks do appreciate a looser curl pattern, and for the longest time, we were taught to not appreciate our curl pattern that we have. We are taught to not like 4C hair. We are taught to not like long, natural 4C hair. We are taught that 4C hair isn't marketable. You can't market 4C hair to those who want to buy hair products to bring out their curl pattern. And there's something to be said about that. There is some accountability that I do feel like we collectively have to embrace. However, I will say that there are content creators with healthy 4C natural hair all the way down their back, showing you how they grew their hair out and what works for them. I just wish we would see more of them in the mainstream. I wish I would see more of them with brand deals, with all these natural hair care companies. I wish it wasn't just exclusive to those of a particular hair texture. So this is gonna be a dicey take. So while I do believe that the internet is not supposed to raise your child, the internet isn't supposed to raise the youth, the internet isn't responsible for raising the youth, I make it my priority to let my audience know that I am not for kids. I'm rated B for bad bitches. That means no minors. But I do understand how the youth have access to the internet. And I also understand that they have access to smartphones, and they also have access to TikTok. And I do think when you cast out that particular negativity without solid explanation why, it can be harmful to young people. If I was like 14, 15, or 16, looking at this woman sit up here and say that natural hair doesn't grow as long, I don't know what I would do. Like, I think I would be devastated. I do think that something I've noticed about the internet, in particular social media, is that people overshare way too much. People aren't cautious about the audience that they are talking to. However, I also know that it's not our responsibility to be worried about everybody's kids, the audience that we have and what we put out there. If people don't like what we say on our platform, they are open to leaving. They do not have to stay. I do think that when you have that type of rhetoric, or when you push that type of rhetoric on your platform, and then you couple it with, you said that she does coaching, she does female coaching or feminine girl, she's doing some type of coaching. I would not want someone like her coaching me. Like, I'm just being honest, I wouldn't. I do not think that we should sit here and drag this creator by her edges, even though it is harmful. And I think we should meet her with some understanding as to why she is saying these things and why some people kind of agree with her and appreciate her honesty. Because I have met, I have known, and I have been that type of person who would 100% agree with her, who understand where she's coming from, who agree with what she's saying. And it's a brutal truth that we have to deal with. But I also think it's a brutal truth that we have perpetuated on ourselves, and that we have been taught and conditioned to believe in at a very young age before we even know what our hair texture is. We're taught to appreciate a specific type of hair texture, and that is one that does not look like ours. And I think as we continue and as we go further throughout life and as we evolve, the knowledge of our natural hair and how it can grow and what we need to do to make it grow continues to flourish. And I hope we get to a point, I really do hope that we get to a point where generations ahead of us that look exactly like we do, Black folks, biracial folks that have our kinkier hair texture, will be able to grow it long, healthy, and beautiful. And will sit and really look at their hair like it's just hair. Shave it all off and grow it back out in the next 6 months. I really hope we can get to that point in society. And I think we're slowly but surely getting there. Shout out to the moms who are raising their kids with natural hair textures and they are growing their hair out. They're like actually caring for their hair, putting masks on them, giving them hot oil treatments, all of that. Shout out to those parents. It is important, especially as a kid and a young adult, that you know how to care for your hair first before you dibble and dabble and start getting used to any other type of hair trends that are out there now. The reason why she probably feels this way about her hair, about black hair not growing, is probably because she lived in an era where she was taught and conditioned to believe that her natural hair wasn't acceptable. In the same way I was, okay? Because again, the natural hair movement didn't really start taking off until I was in my late teens, early 20s. It's like only a decade years old. That's bad. That is not good. Black hair does grow long. And even if it didn't, who cares? Who cares if it doesn't grow long like that? We still get to be seen as valid and we still should be seen as feminine regardless. Or if we even want to be seen that way. Like, who cares? We're still valid. We're still accepted. Stop this foolishness. Okay, so I think that's it. Yes, let me know in the comments how you felt about this video. If you feel like natural hair doesn't grow like that, or if you feel like natural hair does grow like that, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you understand where this creator was coming from, or let me know if you don't really understand where this creator is coming from. And as always, please do not forget to drink some water. Some videos need to be saved in the drafts, okay? Stop oversharing. Ooh. All right, bye.